Hello, everybody. A warm welcome to another interview on Wisdom from North. I'm Jannike, and today I'm thrilled to be here with Gitte Graugaard. Gitte is a Danish best-selling author of children meditation books. She's also a TEDx speaker, and she has helped thousands of children all over the world fall asleep. She's also very passionate about helping lightworkers be bold and share their wisdom by working with the 4 elements. And she's also our featured masterclass teacher in November in Wisdom from North membership, teaching the class navigating your inner valley to find more joy. Hello, Gitte. How are you today?
Hi, thank you for that beautiful introduction, and I'm so fine. How are you?
I'm good, and I just edited your class, and I wanted to bring you on and talk about the 4 elements because I think it's really deep and profound and knowledge that we may have forgotten that is really so helpful for us. And I just want to say for everybody watching, you can find out all about the membership in the link below. And also, Gitte, one thing is that you're passionate about children's meditations, but today we're going to speak about more light workers who might be struggling with coming out with their gifts and their dreams and their projects. Now, why do you think that many light workers are struggling with actually making ends meet and really have abundance in their lives when it comes to finances and actually get that product out there and sell it?
Well, there are many reasons why many light workers are struggling. One of the most simple reasons is that we often work as solo entrepreneurs. And whether we share our light or we create a product and we don't work as light workers, but we're just solo entrepreneurs, it's the same problem. But for light workers, it can seem even more difficult because we work in a new way of producing products and with new knowledge, new old wisdom that we bring back into the consciousness of people who are suffering. A lot of light workers are called to work on, to help some certain target groups. They want to work with children or animals or save the planet. They're called because they have an open heart and an open channel, but they might not have gone to business school just like I have. So it's also about what kind of background we have in how we produce and how we approach the market. But what I've seen throughout the last many years working with light workers, and what I also see in people who are not light workers, is that as solo entrepreneurs, we need to go through all stages. If you work in a corporation, you will find the 4 elements in a corporation naturally. But we have to possess all different elements in order to bring our products to the market, and we have to find them inside. So nobody comes and say to you, so you want to sell some books? Let's give you some water element. Let's give you more water element. Nobody comes and tells us that if we approach help to grow our business as light workers. Nobody comes and says, you lack earth element inside of you, because nobody in the traditional world really understands what lacks. So when I work with light workers, I listen to them and I hear when they experience the first blockage, and then I translate it into the element that I can hear they talk about. And then I reconnect them with the element. And once they have studied the element, it's often not the element they prefer in nature. So maybe they like to go to the sea, and if they like earth, then they should go more into the forest. And then they go into the forest and they spend some time there, and all of a sudden they begin to realize what goes on in that element, in the earth element. And then they can begin to see it inside, and then they begin to work with the element inside, and then the blockage goes away, and that's when they experience a breakthrough. And a lot of my light workers are so ready. They are so ready to bring that product to the market. They know they can help these people, but they just can't get that book written, or they can't sell that workshop, or they don't know how to bring the knowledge, how to package it, because what is a light product anyway? So they have trouble understanding how to bring their knowledge and the wisdom to the market. And once they start working with that blockage, not only do they experience a breakthrough, they also really bringing a lot of magic. So for me as their mentor, it's so much fun because I get to see all these breakthroughs, but I also see what happens when the most beautiful people I know experience that magic and actually begin to have success in what they do and how they are perceived, whether they are seeking love or they want to sell more or they want to find new friends or whatever it is. They just experience that life truly is magical, and many of them know. So it's more like a confirmation of what they already know, and now they get to live it, and that's just amazing.
I can imagine that. I have been speaking a lot about life purpose, following your dreams. And then I just felt so called to ask you to become a masterclass teacher in our membership. And then when you came with that class, I was like, whoa, this is astonishing. I have never thought about integrating the 4 elements, water, earth, fire, and air. To even have a conscious relationship to that and how that can help me with my manifestation. And I thought that was just so tangible. It was so brilliant and natural in a sense. And in the masterclass, you're also taking us, or you're giving certain meditations, so we're actually able to connect to it. And I got very curious. How did you discover this? How did this insight come to you in the first place?
Well, I had a mentor myself, and I was training with her for a couple of years, and we were talking about healing and the different chakra systems. And what started resonating in me the most was these 4 elements. And if you speak to people who have been trained in Chinese medicine or and other traditions, they would say, well, there are more elements than 4. And I know that they are. We also have wood and we have metal and we have different other elements. But for me, it was just understanding that these 4 elements had been so crucial for me as I was growing up as a child. So I was a lot in nature when I was a child, and I really connected with these 4 elements. So I think for me, it was discovering what I already knew as a child. And I think most children do. That's what I see through my children's books, also with the 4 elements, that a lot of children understand this way better than we do as adults. So for me, it's just this whole journey, and I'm far from understanding everything. It's just discovering little layers and then understanding that if I travel up to Greenland and I speak to native people in Greenland, they talk about the 4 elements. If I've just been in New Zealand this year, they talk, and the Maoris talk about the 4 elements. If you go to the United States and you visit Native Americans, they talk about the 4 elements as well. And for me to discover that this is so global and so ancient and so old, also in the old Greek philosophies, they also talk about the 4 elements, and understanding that this is nothing new. This is within us, and it's more for me a reconnection to what we already are than inventing something new, like some new teaching tool. It's so basic, and yet we have forgotten. But when we then reconnect to it, we already have so much knowledge of it because we know about nature, all of us.
How is this connected to the chakras? Because I know you were talking in the class about that this is connected to our chakras.
Yeah. So we have the 7 chakras inside the body, and if you take them from the lowest chakras, in the root, it's the earth element. And the hara, it's water, and in solar plexus is fire, and in the heart, it's air. So you have them built up inside of you. So in this masterclass and in the children's books that I call the children's book series, I call the Valley of Hearts, we connect to the 4 lowest chakras.
Okay, so the other chakras, I get curious, what are they connected to then?
Then it's actually, if you think about the material, if you think about the material of each element, it gets lighter and lighter. So first, earth is something you can really shape with your hands, and you can touch and you can build. And so think about digging a hole in the garden and building a little, how do you say, a little mountain, a little hill in your garden. You can really dig something out and create something with the element of earth. And then if you move up one bit, you get to the water chakra, the Hara chakra. And water is still something you can feel. So if you think about having a shower or going to the sea, you can move the water, you can swim, you can touch the water. And then if you move one bit further up, it's fire. And then we stop touching the fire, but we can still, it has a shape. If you think about a fire in the garden, it has a shape, and it can become large and small, very dim and very huge. So in the human characteristic, a dim light will be either because you are hiding yourself or because you are burned out. And if you have a huge fire, you can be an activist and you can create a lot of attention to something. And if it's out of control, then you become too aggressive, too much temper. As a parent, it's not very good to have a completely crazy fire because you get aggressive towards your children. It's not good to have, as a solo entrepreneur or light worker, if you have too much fire, nobody can really hear what you say because you get really angry or tense in the way you communicate. And if you're too dimmed, if you have dimmed your light, then nobody will hear you. Nobody will see you. So it's about having this good inner fire going on and tending to it. So fire is a shape. And then we come up to the heart, and then it's air. Now it becomes a little bit more tricky to see and feel, but we still feel the winds, and we still have an understanding of the air element. We breathe it in. We are very dependent on the element of air in our lungs and to be alive. And then when you move up, it's sound. So now it becomes the throat chakra. It's even lighter. You can't see sound waves, but we understand if we put on the radio that we can hear sound waves. And we also understand that there are some sounds we don't hear. Maybe you can hear a sound that I can't hear, or maybe somebody can hear the whales singing and somebody else can't hear, or stuff like that. So sound waves is the next level. And then if you go up to the third eye, I'm not sure about that word in English, but it's seeing with that in Danish we call it infrarød. It's that it's seeing without seeing with the eye. This we often see it as a red light. In this chakra, it's more purple, but it's seeing. It's like a vision. So it's even lighter in its shape than a sound wave. And then when you go up to the crown chakra, it's complete connection. It's that divine. It's that we can't even touch it, we can't see it, we can't hear it, but we know it's there. It's even lighter in its shape and form and weight. So that's how we climb up in the chakras.
Very interesting. Thank you for mapping that out. That makes so much sense. I know that you are very in touch with your inner voice, and you are. I think are you more of a seer or a clairaudient, you would say, than a clairvoyant, perhaps? Or
for me, it came first when as an adult. I would say as a child it was different, but reconnecting to my different. Clairvoyant, clear feeling, clear hearing, clear auditive. It was first clairvoyancy.
Okay.
And then I started hearing, and then today I also feel. So I can feel how you feel if I tap into your energy. So for me, it's like playing the piano. And in the beginning, you could play a simple tune with one hand, and then you can maybe add do with the left hand, and then all of a sudden you begin to play more tunes, and so. It's just this huge instrument that you learn to play. So down here might be some sounds that you can hear differently if you learn to play down here or up here. Or so for me, it's learning to play the full piano. And now I've played it for quite some time, so I play more different variations of it. And I'm just curious to know what comes later. The hearing is is still for me in some kind of development. It can come as a clear voice, as we've talked about before in other interviews, but it can also be more in line with clairvoyancy, that I hear messages that are very clear. So when I'm with clients, for instance, it would be, ask her about this or that. Ask her about this or that. I hear this voice saying, ask her about, and when often it comes out of context, so it doesn't feel natural to ask this question. And then 10 minutes later, I would say, okay, now they've asked 10 times for me to ask you this question. So this might sound weird, but do you ever, and then comes this out of context question, then they're like, how did you know? Or that is so funny. Or so that's more like a voice, but it's still a little hard for me to, I can't turn it on and off like I can with some of the other help instruments I have.
Yeah, I have never considered myself as a clair anything, although I've had an intuition, I would say, that I just know and I feel a gut feeling and I feel like, excited about things. And then that's like a sign to me that this is something I want to pursue. But I think also I've had a knowing. But lately I've started, it seems like it's starting to open up a bit more, because I've all of a sudden started to have like just a message falling down into my head, like a sentence. Sounded like my voice, like this is not the right person for you, or you shouldn't go there, or like so clear and strong messages. And I was like, what was that? Realized, because I was going to meet the person, probably collaborate, and have more to do with that person. And I was really disappointed, like, I was looking forward to this. Why did I get this message? And it ended up, being a really great guidance for me. But that was a surprise. Like, I've never experienced that before. And I'm meditating and I'm like, is any messages coming? Like, it seems like I cannot ask for it to come. It just happened. Oh,
Yeah.
I know how it might feel to
Yeah.
experience like that.
Yeah. And it happens all the time. So we ask for signs and we ask for clues and we ask for guidance. It's not the asking that is the problem for us. Most of the people who are watching an interview like this already ask, do prayers, or know about manifestation, or ask the angel cards, or a lot of people who are watching this are already asking a lot of questions, and they're like, why is nobody answering?
Mhm.
Why do I not hear anything or see anything or feel anything? And that's the problem. It's how we receive the answers, because we have a quite limited understanding of how we receive the answers. So now you're meditating, so you're grounded and you're pulling your vibration further up, and now it's supposed to come. Whereas a lot of things might be at stake right then and now. Whereas when you run in the forest and you feel flow, so maybe it's the flow of your body moving. So when you sit still, maybe you are better at receiving the messages when you are moving with the water element. You're in movement, you are moving your body. Maybe when you are in your forest. Now I see you in Norway, you have this beautiful nature all around you. So when you're in the mountains, you are moving around in the mountains, you are in fresh air, you maybe see the fjords, the water, and you feel passionate about what you do at Wisdom from North. All of a sudden you have the 4 elements in place as you are moving on the mountain, you see the water and you feel your passion. Maybe that's when you hear the message. So maybe you've opened yourself up by tuning into the elements around you in nature, feeling part of nature, feeling this joy of being alive. Maybe it's the joy. So it's different factors that actually allow us to receive the messages. So maybe that's it for you. For other people, it might be at church when they pray, or other people, they have to have a little ritual in order to hear it. We have to figure out how we best receive the messages. And what I often find is the decision, the description I just gave to you, that when I'm in nature and when I'm moving in nature, then I often hear things clearly. So I actually do a lot of walk and talk coaching with my client.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably easier for the client as well, because when you
Right.
walk, like even going on a date on a walk is like nice, because like you don't have to like sit still. And
Yes. Yes.
I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, we do. We are so individual in many ways, and I think it's important to learn how you work, like how spirit talks to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I just found that it was so interesting to notice the quality of the thought, because there I couldn't argue with it. I was like, no, but I want this to be right. But I was thinking, no, I heard it. I know that this
Yeah.
was a message. Uh, and
That is actually spirit versus ego right there. You have the display of
yeah,
spirit talking to you, and you have your ego wanting to decide, like, I'm in charge. I want this meeting because it's going to bring in revenue or whatever it is. And spirit saying, well, if you go that way instead, better watch what happens. That's when the magic comes in that I'm talking about. That's when my clients experience magic, is that when they quit that job that really doesn't suit them any longer, that they've been tired of for years, and they are so afraid of letting go of that job, and they want me to give them a promise that if they pursue their dreams, then at least they can pay their bills. And I can never promise them anything, but I can give them the courage to quit that job that no longer suits them. And I can give them some planks to walk on where to get revenue for the first months of bills. But we want them to accelerate, and we want them to grow up to a place where they will sell the products that match what they're here to share and fulfill their life purpose, right? That's when the bills can be paid from what you love to do. But they are it's so scary to raise your vibration from a shitty job to making your dreams come true, because you have bills every month. So they want me to promise them that it's going to be all right. And I say, well, just step up here and step up here, step up here, step up here. And all of a sudden they jump up here. And then every step here is magical, because it's like, you know what? I got some tax returns, or the government just paid out some money for us, or you know what? My husband's aunt is giving us some money for inheritance, or so it's all working out on these planks. They get a job, or some old friend calls them up with a job, or it's those coincidences that happens when you have the courage to move up in vibration. Then that's the funny part of being me, having my role, is that I get to see all these mini steps of magic, because they're like, you know what, do you want to hear what just happened? They call me up and they're so excited because they got their first job, or whatever freelance job, or whatever they want to have. It's about moving up in vibration, having the guts to step up in vibration before we rarely get to jump all the way up here. So the other day I was walking with a client in nature, and we saw a river, and there were two bridges on that river. One was a huge, man-powered bridge that had been built, and was very beautiful and very easy to walk over. And that's what we want. We want that bridge all the way up here that is it's straight to walk over the river. But we rarely get that. But instead, some people just 10 meters next to that big beautiful bridge, they had thrown some different rocks and trees and branches over the river. And that's what you get. You get some planks that you can step, but if you don't dare to step out on them, step up and step out on the river, that's where the flow comes in. The water element is flow. If you don't dare to step out, and maybe even you want to walk in the river the first time you step, you get your feet wet, but you don't get that big beautiful bridge. That's like winning lotto. Like that's so it's not available for that many people. So most of us have to walk into the water, or walk on that handmade, like self-made bridge, in order to cross the river or sail in the rivers, if we're ready for the big flow. So it's all about courage, really. It's all about having the faith and the courage to move that first step up the vibration ladder. And every time they do, it's magic kicks in, and that's what I love about this work is that and they say, "Oh, such a coincidence," and then we laugh because they know I don't believe in coincidences. I know it happens for a reason.
I don't believe in that as well. I call them co-creative incidences.
Yes, exactly, exactly, and it's funny how they always happen when we have the faith or the courage, right?
Yeah, and you're mentioning something really important, the courage and the action. And I call it soulful action because, yes, we can sit and meditate and do all that work, but we also need to use the physicality, like
Yes,
our physical, and we are in a three-dimensional world right now. So we also need to use, this vertical and go out there in the world and take those steps, like you're saying. We cannot just be here and visualizing and changing beliefs, but we also have to take that action. So it is that it goes together.
yeah, and that's actually what I find is so hard for light workers is because we bring products to the market that are hard to put in a box. So if, for instance, let's say I want to create some kind of a card deck or something, right? Then there are cards inside. That I can understand, and we can create another angel deck card. But if my wisdom comes that I know I have to help old people with dementia, or I want to help the planet breathe better, or if that's the mission, it's like, but how do I package it? Like, how do I bring that product out? So it's not only knowledge that people can grab and that will never pay my bills. That if I just share my knowledge all the time, how can I actually create a product so I bring my wisdom to the world, but at the same time I can pay my bills? And that's tricky for light workers because the missions that we are on are hard to translate into products because it's like opening this new world. We are bringing our dreams to the world. We're opening new dimensions, but it doesn't come with like a description, like a manual, like an IKEA manual. This is how you build your new table. Where's the manual? I know I have this new fancy vision of this helping these people, but where's the manual? We have to create it. We have to understand. Often we don't often only understand a few pieces of the manual, and then we have to build that in order to understand the next bit. So it's like building the road as we walk, which is tricky, and it really, really, really demands a lot of courage, really.
I know exactly what you're speaking about because I was looking for that manual when I started my membership. I saw the vision, but I was like, but how do I, how, like, can't anybody tell me?
Yes.
I figured this out on my own. And apparently, yeah. But like you say, I took that one step, that other step, and all of a sudden I see what I created, and now I get it. Now I get what I saw.
Yes. So let's take your membership as an example to walk the viewers through how the elements can help. So knowingly or not, consciously or not consciously, you have worked with the 4 elements in creating your membership. So the first element is a vision. So it's you seeing the need to bring knowledge to people who are suffering or who are seeking or who are wanting to open up to another world. So you have this vision first. That's the element of air. So that's the creative, innovative, the vision. That's when we get ideas. Then the next, if you, I'm very visionary, so I get a lot of ideas all the time. So if you get a lot of visions and it could be beautiful to create this, and then I could also have a cafe, and then I could also have these talks, and I want retreats on Bali, and then I want this circle in the middle of Oslo, and you have all these visions. And for many of my clients who are light workers, light and visions come very close together. So they come and they say, I've seen this for years, but nothing happens. And my husband doesn't believe in me anymore. My friends are tired of hearing of all these visions because nothing ever happens. Then the next part is to choose one of those visions. Is it the cafe, the membership, the talks, the Bali retreat? What of these many ideas are you most passionate about? So which of those ideas do you want to bring to life first? That's the fire element. That's when we choose. That's when we feel what we're most passionate about. So we add the fire element to choose. And in your case, it's the membership. I want to reach a lot of people. So I want world-class teachers in my membership. So this is what I want to create. So you have your vision, you have your passion, and then you actually have to find a platform. And that's when a lot of light workers get stuck, because how do you organize? So you use YouTube, you use a platform. What kind of platform? How do I reach the people? What kind of, do I need a microphone? Do I need special light? What do I need to bring all these interviews to world? How do I get a hold of Greg Braden? Like, how do you even get him on the line? And beautiful people that you've interviewed, how do I even reach them? That's the earth element. That is actually doing it. That's the action part you were talking about before. That is you picking a platform, creating it, doing all the branding, marketing, opening up all your Facebook groups, writing your newsletters. You know how it's endless work to the earth element. You need to apply it every day. To create an interview like this for me has had many emails and getting an appointment in the calendar, figuring out where to meet, how to upload it to YouTube, and then write blog posts. That's the earth element. And a lot of light workers are not patient when it comes to their earth element, and they get stuck right here. And then when you have created your membership and you have your platform, you have your interviews, then you want to reach a lot of people. That's the element of water. So once you have your product, you need to create movement. So you have more than 50,000 people watching you on YouTube. That's the water element. That's creating flow. So how you have created your platform is actually a brilliant study of the 4 elements.
I love that. Thank you so much. That was a great example also, and a good way.
But it doesn't come easy, right? You had to work for it.
Oh, I have worked a lot, and it took me 8 years, 6 years with interviewing before I was even ready to create something as big as a membership with the teachers I wanted as well. Because that's very important for me, that I find humble, beautiful teachers like you in their hearts that are really gifted as well. Because that's one of my values, that we're teaching each other, that the teachers are in their hearts, and then I had needed to actually have that many interviews to be able to have that network. So it's also divine timing a bit. I feel that the timing, it was right. So I just want to thank you for that brilliant class, and also for sharing today for everybody who's not in the membership. And hopefully you got something out of it, so you can start to look into your own relationships to the elements. And if you want to join us, you can check out the links below this video. And other than that, thank you so much, Gitte, for your knowledge and wisdom, for helping Lightworkers come out with their passion and gifts. That is a mutual interest. We both have a mutual passion, and you're doing it in one way and I'm doing it in another way, and then we come together and also do it together. And that's what I love, how we're standing much more together in these times, because I believe we're moving into a time of unity now and much more collaboration, really, raising the vibration together. So thank you so much for your beautiful work, and all the best.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you guys in the masterclass.
Thank you for watching, everybody. Much light from Denmark and Norway. Bye bye.